Who are the signed VGK free agents and how will they fit in this upcoming season? We get to that and much, much more on this WTF edition of Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You can find us wherever you get your podcast, and please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn and start off this summer and enjoy the rest of the summer, I should say, by going to Locked On's FanDuel site. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so we know that 8 VGK players departed here from VGK this past season, at the end of the season from the best team ever. Moving forward, who are some of the free agents that VGK signed in their place, and how will they fit in? And so we'll go through some of the names here, and we'll talk about how they might fit in with VGK or on the AHL level. So, of course, we start off with Ilya Samsonov. We talked about him, the backup goaltender who could be number one by season's end, and he'll be in net for VGK.
December. Okay.
By December, okay. 1 times 1.8 million, 27 years old, and 23, 7, and 8 a season ago, 3.13 and 890 save percentage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a pretty easy one. He's going to get whatever scraps Adin Hill leaves behind, and Adin Hill doesn't finish his dinner too often as of late in the NHL. So Samsonov's going to get plenty of opportunity. I mean, I know people are probably tired of me talking about Adin Hill and the amount of games that he plays, but it's a reality that Adin Hill has yet to appear in greater than 35 regular season games throughout his NHL career. Samsonov, fortunate for the Golden Knights, has played in 40 or greater regular season games in his last 3 consecutive seasons. So Samsonov is certainly an able goaltender. Is he going to have the same save percentage and goals against as a recently departed Logan Thompson? I don't know if I think that's asking a lot, but you never know. Samsonov has had a couple of very good seasons to his credit. So Samsonov slots in as the backup, who will probably get a very healthy share of the starters' nets.
So some of the other players that VGK signed, well, Victor Olofsson, of course, we've talked so much about him. Does he fit in? There's so much talk, a lot of chatter there in chat rooms and websites about Olofsson. Does he slot in on the first line and take the place of Jonathan Marchessault? Does he play on the IKEA line on line 3? And he's been literally in the rumor mill to be traded for over a year. I like the term that you used for this group. I think you call them castaways. The castaways more than misfits. They're the new misfits. He's a castaway.
No, Olofsson definitely someone been trying to find his way, so to speak. I mean, 51 games and 15 points last season. I think that's a lot to ask to suddenly go into a top line role. I know there's certainly some history with Eichel for about 2 or 3 seasons. Looks like during one of those seasons, Olofsson was a 20 goal scorer. So, I mean, maybe there is something there. Barbashev is a comparison I want to use for a second, just because whoever does end up going on that top line with Jack Eichel, you have to presume Barbashev is going to stay on that line, you would think. Barbashev in his first full season, I had to make sure I got that right there, as a Vegas Golden Knight, put up 45 points. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that is his second highest career total from 21-22 with the St. Louis Blues, where he got 60 points. So whoever goes on that line is going to probably have close to a career type of season. So Olofsson could slot in on the top right there. Someone like Holtz, who's not necessarily a free agent signing, but I think a newly acquired player such as Holtz might have a better shot at that, even though he has less experience.
And then we go down the list here. Oh, and by the way, Olofsson, 3 times he's had 40 or more points. So he'll fit into that category too with Barbashev.
There's a very
And
good
then,
shot he becomes a 60-point player, and that'd be remarkable.
yeah, they're going to need him to step up for sure. Robert Haig, we talked about him on this program a few weeks ago. 1 times 775,000, lifetime, pretty much AHLer. However, for spot duty, he could definitely step up, and he's played a career of 343 NHL games. So here's a veteran who's toiled back and forth, but mostly in the AHL, but he could also fill in if needed for the Vegas Golden Knights.
You never know. I mean, this obviously is where we definitely kind of start digging a little bit, and you just kind of wait and see how things are going to shake out. Depth definitely lacks for the Vegas Golden Knights in some categories. Will a player like Robert Haig have a shot to get there? I don't know.
Okay. Zach Aston Reese. Another AHL player, a depth piece, perhaps. Three games I think he played with Detroit, and a lot of people expect more out of him, I think, and has some upside. Again, another castaway for the Golden Knights.
I think you're looking more at the AHL level at this point right here. I mean, 310 career NHL games, yes. Couldn't catch on with the Red Wings last season, spent most of his season, obviously, in the AHL. As far as, I mean, we're talking someone who's never had greater than 17 points in a regular season in the NHL, with one season where he got 77 games with the 22-23 Maple Leafs, 10 goals, 4 assists. So he got a lot of playing time. There's a lot of lack of depth for the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't think they lack that much depth, where Zach Aston Reese gets more than Mason Morelli type of minutes.
Didn't we see him in a line combination where he was starting in the 4th line? Okay, that was crazy. Tanner Lazinski from the Flyers organization, a forward, 38 games and just 2 goals. And hey, is VGK like gearing up, ramping up here? Because I think they're expanding the AHL playoffs. I think there's an expansion of the number of teams. So maybe they want to win on the AHL level once and for all.
I mean, so here's what you're looking at in Lazinski. 38 career NHL games, played about double that in the American League. You look at his American League numbers last year, 49 games played, 44 points. So you're looking at like a Denisenko, a Sheldon Rempel, someone like that, who you wonder if they're maybe going to be a late bloomer as far as the NHL is concerned. Or is this a really good AHL piece that's going to help the Henderson Silver Knights? So I think it's a win for the organization. Worst case scenario, you got someone who's going to be nearly a point per game player in the American League, which will certainly help the Silver Knights qualify for the playoffs. And yeah, I mean, as far as the NHL is concerned for Lazinski, I mean, maybe he is a late bloomer. You know, he's 27 years old. We're not talking a 24-year-old who has, that much more upside. But again, only been around the National Hockey League and the American League since 2020-21. So he got kind of a late start, I think, in his professional career compared to a lot of other players. So maybe this is the time. You never know.
These are some of the new players that VGK signed, of course, post regular season here. And Eric Johnson's another question mark because he's 36 years old. And originally, I think, signed out of the Flyers organization. And I don't see him on very many lists, but I had him as one of the earlier signings here in free agency for VGK.
I mean, 900.
Did they sign him? Did they sign him to an 8-year contract? It's 30. Just kidding.
Contract. Get out of here.
JK.
Yeah. I mean, listen, defense for the Vegas Golden Knights is a pretty loaded position at the moment. Is there a path where a 36-year-old plays their way into the lineup? You never know, but I just think it's, again, you're talking another. You got a lot of old dudes and going for the Silver Knights next season. A lot of old dudes, right?
Yeah,
Cracknell. So yeah.
And then, they're also bolstering the ECHL team up north. And then Callahan Berg
down
A
there.
center from Carolina, seldom used center, is another one.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just kind of seems like we keep referencing the bucket. We keep referencing the bucket. Keep filling the bucket, splat it against the wall. I'm not knocking these guys saying they're that types of players. Just it's just filling out a roster, and weird things happen. That's the best thing I can say. Weird things, especially in Vegas. Weird things happen. You never know.
Anyone else that I'm omitting from this squad here? The postseason signings for VGK? I don't
I
think
don't know.
so.
I don't think
Pretty
so.
much. No, that's it. Okay, coming up next, we have details. Details on the firing of Jeff Marek have emerged, and we'll talk about the State Gaming Control Board and the NHL investigation around allegations that Jeff Marek shared insider draft information. We'll get to that. We return right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Passion, drive, and patience, what brings home the winning trophy, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and to level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and much, much more. Whether you are into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you are looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride each and every time, or you get your money back, because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and to bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. Thank you so much. Of course, on Fridays today, WTF with your comments. Saturdays, we've got the Chris and Chris Jr. show, sometimes in season. We should just say in season. And of course, make sure that you subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. We told you yesterday a little bit about this Katie Strang and Dan Robson story in The Athletic about Jeff Marek's departure from Sportsnet. And the reason why we're bringing this up, of course, because it was something that occurred here in Las Vegas at the NHL draft here in Vegas. Allegedly, Marek was sharing draft information with former NHL scout Mark Seidel. The Gaming Control Board was concerned that Marek had disseminated information that was insider information. That's what they deemed. And that could have actually impacted gambling on draft picks and the draft pick order. As crazy as it sounds. And so Gaming Control said regarding wagers on the NHL draft that all bets must cease 24 hours before the first round, which makes a lot of sense. So the big question that looms was Marek, who knew the picks in advance, was he sharing the information for gambling purposes or for social media clout?
Here's what I want to know. NFL people definitely gamble on the draft and stuff like that. There's a few ways you can do it. And obviously the NHL does have similar action. What I want to know is, what were the size of some of these bets that came in to even get this on a sports book's radar and gaming? We're not talking about the Stanley Cup final. We're not talking about a big Vegas Golden Knights game. As far as hockey and as much money that gets wagered, like when hockey's in season, you also got football and basketball going. Hockey is the redheaded stepchild of those sports right there. You have a hard time even getting a hockey game to get turned on in the sports book. And I mean, the local Vegas Golden Knights game, general rule of thumb, whatever game has the most action, the sports book will put on their big screen with sound. And then all the other games get little bitty screens. And I've seen a lot of Vegas Golden Knights fans upset when they go to a place like Red Rock, a locals casino, quote unquote, and they want to sit and watch the Golden Knights on the big screen, and instead it's a basketball game, and they got to watch the Golden Knights either on a small TV or somewhere else. So my point is, something came in that got the attention of gaming. When this gets put on gaming's radar, there's weird bets coming in and stuff like that. Now, on the flip side, Elliot Friedman, Dr. Frank Saravelli, these are people who have worked their entire lives, if you will, to become industry insiders. They predict stuff all the time. Whether it's a draft pick, whether it's something that's about to happen. They break news and all of that. What's the balance of a Saravelli, a Friedman versus Marek getting information out there? I mean, we have sources. We talk about things. We break some things. Does that mean all of a sudden gaming is going to investigate us? Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. And they're saying that what Marek had shared was proprietary information that violated the partnership between Sportsnet and the NHL, and then in turn Marek. And so that's what happened and why he was fired from his position. Is there live? The part of the story that I'm missing here, perhaps, is there live gambling on who the next draft pick is going to be? Can you
I don't think
get that
there's
anywhere?
live because the wording you used and what the article said about 24 hours, they freeze it.
Right. I was just curious if there
Could be
was.
offshore and unlicensed stuff that could happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's strange though. I mean, it's very, very strange. And I just keep going back to the fact that something happened that triggered concern. Something happened that triggered concern. And I don't think it's because he was putting out there on his social media, hey, this might happen, this might happen, this might happen. I think there's more to it than that. And then how deep does this go? Okay. So Marek is out here breaking, let's just assume there's no betting involved. So just whatever. He's out here breaking all this information and things like that. Where's he getting the information from?
Right.
That's the real problem. That's the real problem here. And then why are they telling him? So this could be something that's a lot deeper than a sports journalist putting draft pick information out there. There could be a lot more than meets the eye in this circumstance.
So allegedly, and just to be clear here,
It is allegedly.
Yeah, Marek was sharing the information with former NHL scout Mark Seidel, who in turn, Seidel was putting out this information via Twitter, which we wish we would have gotten a hold of, there at that time, 24 hours in advance.
Did they call Connolly as their pick? I don't think so.
I like that one. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I don't believe that this was, I don't know how they can prove that this was for financial gain unless something came in, a big bet, a larger bet, right?
I don't know if they need to.
Well, why wouldn't they?
I don't know if they need to prove this was for financial gain, because when you sign on, and I'm sure it's in our contract somewhere as well about the type of stuff we can talk about and everything.
Yeah, this is the we know.
I don't know if we've read that necessarily, but
right. I just signed stuff, but it was a proprietary deal that they had, right, internally, NHL and Sportsnet, and that's why. Yes, I understand why they fired him. I don't understand if the Nevada State Gaming Control Board came in and found any wrongdoing. I don't think that there was anything that they found out. It just raised a lot of eyebrows, a lot of alarms. I think first the NHL looked into it, and then we saw where the Gaming Control Board, I think, came in and they were like, okay, we'll investigate it as well. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to find anything that was shady about releasing the names of draft picks. I just think it broke a bond, and contractually, that's why Marek was fired from Sportsnet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
A lot of court TV, bro.
That's what this sounds like right now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm really curious, not to the first layer. I mean, Marek's the fall guy, right? Marek's the fall guy right now. I want to know what's happening behind that. I want to know if a bet came in or if a series of bets came in. Gaming could just be involved as a precautionary thing too right now. I mean, gaming obviously is law enforcement. A lot of people don't know that. Nevada Gaming are actually law enforcement. They can physically arrest you if you are committing some type of crime inside of a casino that has to do with the gaming side of things. If gaming's involved, there's a reason, and it's not necessarily because a bet came in. It could simply be this information is out there. It was put out there publicly, and now they're saying there's a possible leak somewhere, right? A possible leak, and gaming is trying to kick the tires and find out what happened. But again, who's giving this information? Why are they giving this information? Why is Marek giving this information? These are the questions. I mean, this is the type of thing that feels like might get a little bit bigger than the NHL wants it to. Gaming and gambling in sports has always been such a slippery slope, especially with Vegas having teams. I mean, that was the biggest thing that prevented Vegas for a long time from even getting teams. And you couldn't even place action on the Boston Celtics within Caesars Entertainment going back about 10 years ago, because Caesars Entertainment had a minority share somewhere with their stakeholders. There was a very minute share, but as a result, you could not put any action on the Boston Celtics. So point is, this is the type of thing the NHL doesn't want to deal with, because they do have partnerships now, of course, with these deep-pocketed daily fantasy businesses and casinos and everything. So the NHL is going to want this to go away as quickly as possible.
So if the draft were in Moose Jaw, just, I don't know, randomly, then we never would have heard about this. But it's here in Las Vegas. It's here in Las Vegas at the Sphere. And so, yeah, it just, again, gets a lot of attention. It's amplified, if you will. I was
It could be
fine.
just gaming, just a show of force too. It could just be all just meddling a little bit.
Or it could just be gaming control showing that they are policing the NHL and everything that goes on, right?
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I was fine with them, picking the first, 15, 18 picks consecutively.
Did you have a parlay with Celebrini and Connolly and I don't know who went?
Well, no, but the only thing that, hey, on my radar, everything was fine until they predicted that Logan Thompson would be signing autographs there on the mezzanine level at the Sphere as a member of the Washington Capitals. That's when I started to go.
Poor Logan.
Coming up next, that is a good start to WTF. What the Friday coming up next right here on Locked On Golden Knights. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus each and every day. That's right. There is something for everyone every day, all summer long. Head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and get things going here late in the summer, in the dog days of summer. Last night, a lot of folks must have had action on the preseason Hall of Fame game as the NFL was kicking off. Speaking of kickoffs, I don't like the new kickoff structure. We'll get into that another time. But in any event, all of the bets for the game had to be returned because the game was washed out there. Rainy night in Canton, Ohio. I've been to that stadium before, and guess what? It's not good drainage. It's a high school stadium, for crying out loud. So that's what they did. They just gave back all the bets for the game. First half money stood because they didn't play the much needed 55 minutes. So you get your money returned. A lot of people were crying about the total going over early in the third quarter. Well, you don't have to fret now. That money's getting returned back to you. Head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel is also the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. That was a WTF episode in and of itself, right? With my
you got a couple already.
Comments. Yeah, I've had a couple. Yeah. We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. Please make sure that you head on over to our YouTube channel and subscribe there. So WTF, where do we start here? Something that kind of slid through here. We didn't mention it on the show, but we've been talking about it offline. David Pagnotta of the Fourth Period reporting the one and only Trevor Connolly. I'm telling you, is he going to be in the news constantly? He's going to go to college at Providence, which we had heard, right? Those have been the reports. But I guess there was something floating out there that Trevor Connolly was going to sign an entry-level rookie contract with the Vegas Golden Knights and was going to report to the WHL. So maybe he's wavering right back and forth, college or sign a pro deal. And so, again, they're going to get Connolly still in the news, is what I'm getting at. We spoke about him earlier this week, and I think it's going to be a continual process. WTF.
Good for him. Let the kid stay in school. I mean, if that's what he wants to do and feels that's what's best, do what you think is best, and hockey will be there. I mean, that's a good thing. Of the news that's been breaking around this kid, I didn't think this seems like one of the positive things. If he's making the decision to, education is still important these days, folks. Even when you're a professional hockey player. So good on him. I guess just small WTF. There, you got Patrick Laine out there, other free agents and stuff. Is this the Golden Knights roster that's going to break camp in the next month and a half or so? Is this our Golden Knights team that we're going to see, or is Kelly McCrimmon got something up his sleeve right now? You got an excess of defensemen. If he does decide to make a move, there's basically 8 to 10 quality defensemen, at least 1 through 7 are pretty good. So if there's an opportunity out there, you wonder if McCrimmon's going to pursue it. You wonder if teams are maybe just being a little tougher on McCrimmon when it comes to trades right now. Who knows? We've talked about some Connolly fallout with as far as other GMs are concerned. This is odd right now. This is new times. The Vegas Golden Knights got a couple bucks in salary cap still available. McCrimmon wants to improve this roster, and it hasn't happened yet. So WTF.
Do you think most of the GMs are on vacation right now? I think this is a little bit.
Yeah,
of
they were in Alaska with me. I saw them.
You saw them up there. Wow. From Hubert Chakar on Twitter, WTF, Ryan Suter got a contract, but not my favorite player, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. Sorry, something is wrong with this league, WTF. And I'm going to play off of that. The reason why I mentioned that was because former Golden Knights player, Peyton Krebs, the player that held up famously the Jack Eichel deal, Peyton Krebs is without a contract right now. It's run out. His rookie deal's over, and he doesn't have a deal.
Got to be UFA, though, still, right?
So he was on the Sabres' fourth line last season, trade rumor to Philadelphia. If he stays, can Krebs score more than 5 goals, which he scored? This is the guy that he scored 5 goals this past season. This is the player that held up the Jack Eichel trade, which is even funnier. But he's like an instigator. That's what his role is, WTF.
I enjoyed Krebs. I mean, I had a great interview with him.
It was
Krebs had a fun season, right? Preseason, he drops the gloves with Sidney Crosby and then tries to drop him with Jack Eichel during one of the games. And he gave me a great gem when I asked him about it. He's like, "Oh, Eichel didn't want it." And then, we had a fun exchange. So Krebs is a good dude. Might be just one of those players that just takes an extra few minutes, but a lot of people were very high on him. Vegas Golden Knights were high on him. Obviously, Golden Knights were high on him. Sabres were equally as high on him. And it looks like 2 GMs got it wrong so far, and 2 groups of scouts.
WTF? I am absolutely dying to be there, to be the Walls when they have meetings there for Team Canada and the front office. If the Walls could talk, man. I'm just dying to know what the conversations and the interactions will be like between all of these 4 nations, all of the top players there. And by players, I don't mean the ones on the ice, but the general manager, Don Sweeney, his interaction with Bruce Cassidy, who Sweeney fired because his voice was getting old there in the locker room. And then, of course, the good old Misha Donskov Cassidy exchange. I want to know what is this going to be like, dude? This is comedy. Of course, Donskov was said packing to future endeavors. We'll never know what actually happened. That's as much of a mystery as an NHL injury is. Upper body, lower body. Well, why did he get fired, and who fired him? Who actually fired him? WTF?
I want I think I'll parlay with being a fly on the wall when they're talking with maybe at night after the game is over and everyone's getting together and a few drinks hit and all of a sudden people kind of let their guard down and start talking a little more candidly. That's where I want to be a fly on the wall at whatever bars in Boston and Montreal where these fellas are going to be hanging out in after the games are over, after practices and stuff. That's where I want to be.
Best drinker on that coaching staff by far, DeBoer, right?
DeBoer. Oh yeah, I think DeBoer.
Yeah,
I think DeBoer is
a lot of
definitely
Molsons,
an all-star.
Molsons going down. Yeah,
He's
remember
an all-star, definitely.
hungover to coach the All-Star game, and he admitted to it. I
Oh,
don't know.
great. I love it. Listen, DeBoer is so much fun.
That was his defining moment here in Vegas. Are you kidding me?
Quick WTF, F1 right around the corner again, and it seems like room rates are down, seems like bookings are down, seems like everything is not going according to plan, but don't worry, locals, we got 3 months of that stuff I keep putting in the bucket to deal with around traffic on the strip and all the small businesses that are going to suffer. And yeah, it's great. Good job. Good job signing that nice 10-year deal with F1. Great. Good job.
Oh boy.
Good job. Excellent. Good job.
Well, I get around 3 calls and a couple of emails per week from F1 to see if we're going to if we're going to re-up and buy tickets again for the event for one of my clients. And it's going to be a little bit of a pain, to be honest. Hey, Tony, I want to make sure you got my previous 1,251 messages. And are you going to buy tickets? So that's when you know that they're hurting, when the scrubs like me they're calling on the daily. So WTF.
I would have, do they give you a price quote? Like, have the prices changed at all?
I don't know. I that's the one thing I should do is answer one of these days.
Call, be like, listen, this group, they're not as motivated. Tony, use that. They like it, but they're not as motivated to come. Use that.
That's a good WTF right there. WTF, Darth Tommy 774. I don't have the original quote here, but he said, feel free to use the one I posted regarding the recorded show last week. With
no more pre-recorded shows. People get all weird.
He had a mean emoji, though, so he was pretty fired up. WTF, that was good, because he wanted to get in his WTF and then realized when listening to the show that it was pre-recorded, because, of course, you always date things, and you shouldn't do that in media. No,
I'm terrible.
Just kidding. That wasn't your fault.
I gave insider information about the true date we recorded. Fire me.
Yeah, we give insider information on a napkin on this friggin' show. Okay. We had Jeff Lane Jr. at Jeff Lane Jr. GMKM failed to trade for Martin Nechez. WTF? Let me call him whatever I call him. But I'm closer than going Nikas. Like, no.
That's true. You improved. You improved from the last show. Good job.
Nechez. I want to call him Nachos. That's what I was getting at. And then Nachos. Martin Nachos. And then, of course, from our good buddy John Price, WTF, hope this Friday is a mail-in show day before. I don't know. Maybe he wants a mailbag. Waiting the next 60 days till VGK hits the ice. That's where he's headed with that. He's pretty excited.
We just have William Carlson days until.
Why are people poking the bear with me? Why are they doing that?
I don't know. May have something to do with your disdain for William Carlson.
He's the best. He's over in Sweden, by the way, right now. Saw those photos on the Wagoo's page there on Instagram. So just so you know, he's out there enjoying a nice vacation with they have one in the oven too, in case you haven't noticed. So he's never going to get traded. There's no way. He will be the proverbial last man standing here with VGK. He is. Here's
the napkin one, Tony. I'm going to say it now while I'm thinking about it.
He's the Will Smith meme. He is. He's like looking around for the other misfits. And he have the back of Jonathan Marchessault? That's all I want to know. WTF. Go ahead.
Napkin, maybe a good Monday lead. Well, we talk about defensive pairings. I like that one.
You want to do that one on Monday? Okay.
Who's the next Golden Knight player to get an extension? Put that on napkin too.
Next.
That's a good one. We just got topics 1 and 2 for Monday. Let's go.
Okay, we have a show. Maybe we could pre-record that show.
Yeah, let's do it.
Golden Knight extension. Okay, I got that, man. We are good.
What is this Olympic thing where this guy with dyed blue hair and a polka dot vest is shooting backwards while staring at a mirror? What is this?
I don't know.
Olympics are cool.
The Olympics have that one guy, like a casual there, that won a silver medal in shooting, though.
Maybe
Like,
it's the same guy. I don't know.
He had no goggles on. Like they wear.
Oh yeah,
like,
one hand in the pocket. Just
he's got the hand in the casual approach, and he's just
Love
like
it.
knocking
Love
down
it.
all the targets. We appreciate everyone. That's a WTF right there. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you so much. Of course, especially the everydayers that make this show tick. Of course, don't forget, please subscribe to our Lockdown Golden Knights YouTube channel. Oh, man, we have some really spicy topics for Monday's show. We've already previewed them. And make sure that you tune in then. For my man, Chris Garlick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas, WTF. We'll see you again on Monday right here on Locked On Golden Knights. And please have a great weekend, and please take care.